Alright everyone, for a very, very long time, new subscriber growth and also views on my content were quite a bit higher, and it had been, rising for a number of years. And then things sort of stalled out, and that was exactly around the time that YouTube shifted the priority creator thing. Originally, it just meant that an account was sort of on another level for protection purposes. That is, mass flagging raid wouldn't work. They got favorable ad treatment. Like, just because they had a swear word in the title or there were like tits in the video or something doesn't mean it would be deemed advertiser unfriendly, because these people are like Jimmy Kimmel and Colbert and Neistat, and so they're immune to the effects of their actions. They're the chosen ones, the beautiful people of YouTube, you could call them. And it was fairly limited. And what happened is that a lot of them were news sites like CNN, Fox, and stuff. The problem is that then, if people were searching for content, this is the second wave, this is what priority creator began to mean more recently, their material would automatically appear on the front page for search content. So if you go to YouTube search and you search for any news current event, even if the videos have less engagement, you'll see CNN and Vice and some of these others on the front page, regardless of particularly how much engagement they have, the like to dislike ratio. That's the way that it used to work on YouTube. Essentially, if a video was being viewed more and it was liked more, it would be higher up generally on the list. Now that's not 100%, but for the most part that's how it worked. Therefore, somebody who has high audience engagement, like myself, we quite frequently would be near the top of the list for current events, and so we were growing rather quickly. YouTube decided to change that and to shove us all aside. People who do current events mainly taking the biggest hit, by pushing us down the list. We're not being directly demoted through that. It's just that other people that compete with us by doing the same things are promoted. And so we're being demoted by default. I've used the analogy of having, I have a store. There are two kinds, this is simplistic. I sell two kinds of bread. Now, there should be the same price, and there's no problem. I decide that one of them is going to be heavily promoted. I put a sign out front saying, bread A, it's so delicious and stuff. I'm not demoting bread B. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm not hiding it. I'm not burying it behind bread A or anything, but I'm demoting it anyway. It's sort of a workaround way of censoring bread B in that case. Just as we're being censored by default because we're no longer competing on an even keel with the priority creator sort of club. Now, they've decided, I think, more recently, and this ties into the Data Society report in part. What was done was that a bunch of liberal shills decided to compile sort of a wrong thinker hit list, and this is sort of, the accounts that are marked for being harassed and abused, and basically eventually they hope depersoned and monitored in real time on Facebook apparently too if you're Candace Owens. You remember the Data Society report that tries to assume that like I'm big in the alt influencer network and somehow this means that I'm alt-right or something? Like, I guess their logic wasn't really logic, it was partisan spew. But if you show this to some YouTube exec and make it look pretty, probably they just accept it. Because that happens within a corporate environment. So I think what YouTube did is they said, oh, well, that's too bad. We're going to investigate this content a bit on our own. And so they decided to start algorithmically demoting channels that were part of the shit list. And the reason why they did that is basically to appease advertisers. It's out of the false sense that YouTube suddenly takes a huge hit and everyone starts fleeing the platform if you have, freely made independent content on there for people to choose to absorb or not absorb. And so now as far as channel growth, it's sort of at the moment dead in the water. Now, what you may say is, well, that's because you're getting boring sticks. Yeah, I thought that too, but then I looked at the statistics and analysis everywhere else and saw that I was still growing quite quickly everywhere except YouTube and also Patreon, but that's because of the Sargon stuff. So that's a little bit of a different story. Everywhere else I'm speeding right on ahead. I'm almost at 40,000 subscribers on BitChute alone right now. I'm getting up there towards that mark on Minds.com. Can't remember what I'm at on DTube anymore because I stopped using it. Apparently I'm going to have to start reviving that as well. And, put more effort, I think, into some of the alt-tech sites. If YouTube is going to directly demote the content, it's like it's not like it's, bad. I'm still catering to a huge audience of people, but if the channel's stagnant so that there are as many people roughly leaving as coming onto the channel, it's like, well, there's no real reason to be hyper-competitive. There's no reason to particularly innovate and think of new ways to make new content because the channel's been marked as algorithmically demoted. It's been marked as wrongthink, as I'm a dissident now or something. Now other creators have confirmed that the same things happen to them, and time again, here's how you know that it's connected to this. Every single one of these people is on one of these shit lists, or more in some cases, is part of that creator community of some thousands of people that's sort of part of that alt influencer network in the extended sense. That's number one. Every single time they're part of that general broader shit list. Every single time, if they have any other presence, it's growing quite quickly. It's only on YouTube specifically and Twitter that they've been stalled out, because they're the ones doing the demotion. And on Facebook, they don't do that. They just ban you. You know, Zuckerberg takes a different approach. These are the different approaches that have been taken. If it's a Zuckerberg or Twitter thing, usually they just ban the user. Well, on Twitter, they harass you a bit and give you warning after warning, then they ban you. On YouTube, on Google products, they usually just suppress. That is, that they don't want you to not be able to use their service. They simply want you not to really appear to others, so that you enter an echo chamber or something. This is why I've spoken of it. And by the way, there are other alt influencers, I'm sure, that are marked for the same kind of cyber harassment, you could say. It'd be interesting to use that White House reporting tool and talk to Trump about such things. Like, yeah, here's the Data Society report. Now, this is basically their blueprint for suppressing political opinions. You'll note that some of these people are actually far left, like Destiny was on the list. I don't even like the dude, but it's hilarious to think about him somehow being alt-right adjacent because he debates a lot. Bunty King was on there. Yes, Bunty King, the new Heinrich Himmler. Oh my god, that was probably the funniest inclusion of all. Fucking Tim Pool, I believe, was on the list too. It's like, dude, the dude is a progressive. He's like, he'd be voting for Bernie Sanders, I think. The Democratic Party lets him down time and time again and can't win, and he keeps trying to warn them. Apparently they don't care. And people like Lionel, H.A. Goodman, yes, that's true. This is an interesting Nazi party, by the way. But yeah, I mean, we need to do more, number one, to platform one another, share content around and organize, because that's how the content will grow. Number two, get on alt tech. If you're not following me anywhere other than here on YouTube, where I'm speaking more directly on this particular video, you're going to miss out. The notifications have been broken for 2 years, so I mean that was basically when I started making other accounts. But now the algorithmic demotion is more direct, whereas before it was sort of passive. It was just basically there are other people ahead of you in line. They're the chosen ones of YouTube. Jimmy Kimmel and Neistat and all these very safe, tame individuals they can count on to make a very corporate branded product. It's basically just TV. It's TV 2.0. It's YouTube's version of on-demand. YouTube is now less about truly independent content creation. We've got to understand that. Shouldn't be moving in that direction. I think it might destroy the platform at some point and turn it into nothing more than a Hulu ripoff. But it's basically what's happening. It makes me sad, considering that I've been primarily a YouTuber for 11 years now. As far as my content creation, I've always, until recently, been just a YouTuber. Until the last couple of years, it was just YouTube. There was a Facebook page out of necessity, and that's pretty much the only other account I had. Now I'm saying, well, maybe I should start triple uploading back to DTube again. Not just Daily Motion. Hell, I have a Daily Motion channel. I'm one of their top users at this point. And I'm in the top few tens of thousands of people as far as the number of people following the content there. It's actually quite funny. Hilarious to me. That's about all. Peace out.